Welcome to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Today, we are kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Yes, the man who is iconic in South Florida broadcasting as a sports anchor, sports reporter, then also news anchor, news reporter, the news desk, also did many different things with the voice of the Miami Hurricanes, a guy that is on multiple boards of businesses and colleges down here in South Florida. He is synonymous with South Florida, and he's a guy that we are privileged, honored to speak to each and every week. Today, Tony joins us, talks a little bit about Super Bowl 56, and also Defo and Tony remember some of their most interesting moments on live TV today, right now, on the Defo Show with Lubie on the Five Reasons Sports Network.
That was getting 7 or 8 points with the Cincinnati Bengals.
12. I got 12.
12
points. 12 points.
What do you have on this guy, Tony? Tony Segreto joins us here on the show to go old school, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. What do you know about this guy? I mean, have you threatened to go state
seven? I have to share something with you. I have never shared this with anybody publicly. I have never shared this publicly. My family knows this story. So you just used the F word. You just dropped the F bomb, right?
Yes, he did. Yes.
I didn't really mean to, but it fit the
conversation. Yeah, you did. You've done it a bunch of times. First of all,
how I think I'm under tight restraint here, Tony.
Is the sound better today, Lubie?
Way better.
You sound great,
sir.
Okay, good.
Well, you put a microphone in front of you.
Well, I had one the other day, but it in the long.
You don't like it? I mean, it's kind of a phallic symbol microphone. Where did you get that thing?
Well, what do you have? What do you have?
I got this thing stuck in my face, and I'm one of these guys. I think I'm like Roger Daltrey in a Who. I feel like I have to eat this thing.
Yes, I'm the same way.
Yeah. All right, so listen. I remember. God rest Bernie Rosen's soul. It was probably like 11:40 in the morning, and we used to have a noon newscast. And in that noon newscast, they call it the news at noon, there was a 3.5 minute, 2-minute sports segment. So we realized that the people who do the person who's going to do the sports that day isn't there yet. They haven't come back from a story. There's no one around. He never trusted news people at the time to read a sports script. So he says to me, "You're going on." I go, I'm all of like 18. I'm going.
Oh, okay. This was your first appearance.
Yeah, I'm going. What do you mean I'm going on? He goes, "No, you're going on. Do you have a tie?" I go, "Tie? I don't have anything." He found me a tie. I fortunately had a shirt on with a collar and a button, and we quickly tied a tie. And he found someone had an old jacket there, and I put on this old. None of these clothes are mine except for my shirt, and I go on the air. My very first broadcast. I had to say
Was this Super Bowl Sunday on top of everything else with like a billion people tuning in?
It was like a Thursday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. And Mike Schmidt did not come out Mike Schmidt when I said it on the air.
Oh, you said that on TV? Yeah, your first shot?
Came out. Wait a minute. This is all in 2.5 minutes. So Mike Schmidt became Mike, you know what?
Mike Schmidt.
And Mike Schmidt. And then the next story was about the U.S. Open and Arthur Ashe.
No.
Were you on something?
My very first broadcast, and I was so anxious to get off of the set that I never took the lavalier mic off of my tie. So I almost choked myself. Going off. And I decided at that point I would never, ever be on the air again, and that my career was effectively over within a 2.5 minute period because of Mike Schmidt and Arthur Ashe.
Bernie obviously dug it, though. He probably said, "Good job, kid." No?
He said, "Calm down. Don't worry about it. It's over. Don't let it happen again. And let's move on. You're going to be great." I said, "God bless you. You must see something to me that I don't," because after this, I was like totally done. I was like, "You got to be kidding me right now."
I was doing a boxing match live a long time ago. I remember this trip distinctly because there were many interesting aspects to it. And Virgil Hill was the light heavyweight champion of the world. He used to fight in these high school gymnasiums in North Dakota, right? So I'm in Minot, North Dakota. So I'm working with a guy who was from San Francisco that they had flown in to do the color analysis, and we're doing one of the preliminary fights. And there was, I forget who was in the ring. Let's say it was like Livingstone Bramble, and he refers to him in the middle of the fight as Bramble the Negro.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh
And
no!
Tony, it was like 20 below
That's not
zero,
funny.
and
Yeah,
the truck
No,
was
it's not. That's
outside. The
bad.
truck's outside, and the producer, who was pretty cool guy for the most part, but he was like, one of these guys that, was professionally a little bit on edge, about how things
yeah.
were going to go. He was good with me. He kind of trusted me, but he literally came behind this guy with piano wire.
Oh no!
Yeah, I bet.
And that was it, man. I was doing the fights by myself
Yeah,
the
I
rest of the
bet.
time.
I
So
bet.
it
I bet.
happens. I mean, you just you lose
Yeah, but man, you
your
got to
train of
be
thought.
you have to be. I will never forget that as long as I live. And you talk about being panicked every time you went on for like the first couple of months. Again, I was so
Yeah.
young. I was trying to get my sea legs. But gosh Almighty, you're sitting there. Especially now, you need to be not just careful, but you need to be mindful of how you say things and what you say and how it's going to impact a lot of other people. I mean, I remember an
I'm not
old.
sure though. I mean, it's like going to a comedy show. And this has actually come up many times now with a lot of comedians that have gotten the jackpots, for things that they're saying during their show. But I mean, if you're a paying customer at a comedy show, I mean, what are you expecting, except to see the guy be himself? And the thing that's really weird about it now for me, Tony, I don't know how it is for you because you're a little more clean cut when it comes to this sort of stuff. But people are asking you to sort of be edgy. And you're not necessarily going to make any noise in this business unless you're doing something that is a little bit unique or distinctive.
Yep.
And yet, I mean, the more things you say, with everybody that's going to be super hypersensitive to, things that are said that really don't have, any great significant meaning. It's like one of the shockers of this whole cancel culture was when they took down like the statue of Kate Smith outside the Philadelphia Flyers arena because she had done some songs on recordings that were very common and accepted at the time. That happened to be, unfortunately, I mean, when you look at the lyrics, all right, so they were blatantly racist. But, at that time, Kate Smith, that doesn't mean that she, it was somebody that was advocating this. She was just a singer,
Right.
so.
I don't. I'll push back on one thing. I don't buy in that you have to be edgy to be different. I just don't buy into that. My favorite, other than what we do, honest to goodness, my favorite sports show is Mark Packer in the afternoon on Sirius XM. It's a very mindful, very thought provoking show. It's all, it's well done. It's
Yeah.
well done. You leave the show going, okay, I've learned a little something, or I was inspired enough, or whatever the case might be. And I think that you do that in most cases, and you love to entertain. I mean, you have that gift. You have a gift to entertain as well.
Trying to make people laugh a little bit about
absolutely.
what other
Listen,
people are taking very seriously.
Exactly. I am totally into that. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I wouldn't be telling the story I just told if I wasn't into the.
No, I like that.
Making people feel like, okay, I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit and share a little bit about what's going on.
So now, what happened now? How did you line up for the second time after that?
I lined up for the second time in
performance,
quite frankly, and I must have gone over a 2-minute script 100,000 times.
That's bad, though, don't you think? I'm terrible at rehearsals.
I'm awful at rehearsals.
Yeah.
I'm awful at rehearsals, but at the same time, I really took. I'm really mindful of putting yourself in the situation. Right, putting yourself in that situation and going actually through that situation, and I believe that works. It works for me.
Visualization is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. Putting yourself on the set. Actually,
I believe that. Yes,
doing your newscast. Visualizing the the response you get.
Or seeing a big flop sweat coming off as
exactly.
You utter your first word and you realize, well, is it hot in here? Hey, whoa, do something about the AC.
It's like,
meanwhile, it's like frozen tundra.
How many times have we said something like something as simple as, okay, I'm on a walk. I'm not going to trip. I'm not going to trip. I'm not going to trip. And boom, what happened? You trip.
It's like saying, don't miss it. When you're playing a sport.
Yeah, I'm not gonna whiff at this golf ball, and boom, you're whiffing. So, how did you? So I did not hear your impressions of the Super Bowl.
I thought it was good. What else were you going to say there, Because
no, I just thought every game leading up to it, and including that game, was competitive.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it went along exactly like we thought. I have to tell you, this is probably one of the first times I don't even think I saw a commercial. I
didn't really notice the commercials so much. I saw them, but
I did not notice the commercials at all.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I love the game. I loved the game. I loved the competitiveness of everybody, both teams. I was happy for Matt Stafford. I would have been happy for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It wasn't in the cards. They just could not, they just couldn't protect at all. Period.
Well, I mean, they did a good job. I thought, but it happens, right? When let's say you get some guy and it dances around and has a big jab in boxing, and he's going against some tough Julio Cesar Chavez type pressure fighter that can absorb this punishment early, and you're thinking,
yeah,
eventually this
absolutely.
guy is going to break this guy down with these body shots, and he's going to get to him, and they
Burrow's
do,
not
and then
like that.
yeah, the offensive line, they found a way. I mean, Zach Taylor found some kind of way as offensive coordinator to kind of offset what was a huge advantage for the Rams, but unfortunately, they couldn't sustain it. Which happens in sports, and they reverted back to being themselves. And it did look like there was some kind of strategic change by the Rams there, and they started running. I don't want to go like Mike Mayock on
I was going to say.
all of a sudden they had Von Miller running these like inside stunts. And they managed to find a way so that they could only double team instead of triple team Aaron Donald. And he just overwhelmed guys. When he had one-on-one blocking Aaron Donald, he literally just pushed the guy straight back.
Yeah.
Into the quarterback and then shrugged him aside like he was a masked wrestler in a tag team match, and then just completely annihilated Burrow.
I looked at my brother-in-law and I said, "It's like plowing through a display of Charmin." It was just like, okay, this is fun. I'm just gonna throw this back to the side. So,
whatever adjustment they made, they always talk about halftime adjustments being key, and it did seem like they changed something. And at the same time, Cincinnati was only good enough to sustain their ability to get the ball off quickly and take advantage of what Burrow could do in the passing game. And they ran the ball okay also. So it was an interesting game. I was surprised the Rams couldn't run the football at all.
Yeah,
that was really weird. I mean, they tried every play they tried was just stuffed.
I think they went in. I think the Bengals went in saying, "Okay, Matt Stafford's arm's going to have to beat us."
Yep.
Well, he did.
And
he
he
eventually did it. And a great drive there. You like to see a guy that had the choke label. We were talking about this after the game.
Absolutely.
Which Stafford had, kind of dangling over his head was that he never came through in big clutch situations. And he came through twice in this postseason in dramatic fashion, including sustaining just a long drive with compromised personnel. So, I give him all the credit. It was a good ball game. I really enjoyed it. It left me, Tony Segreto, wanting to see more football.
Yeah, me too. And I how many times did we hear, Jimmy Johnson say, halftime adjustments make the difference in the game? I mean, how many times did he preach that? And it's so true. It's the coaches that can come in at halftime and quickly make the adjustments that need to happen in order to either sustain what you have or overcome what you didn't do in the first half. And I think we got a schooling on that. I really do. And I enjoyed the whole season. I enjoyed I really enjoyed the last month and a half. I thought the playoffs were absolutely fantastic. Every week you thought, how could this week beat last week, and it did in many cases. And the Super Bowl lived up to everything it was built to.
This, of course, is the Defo Show with Lubie, kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, iconic South Florida broadcaster of sports, news, and also has covered all the sports teams for years, calling the games as well. Canes for decades, been around the Dolphins for years. Coming up next, we talk more about the Dolphins. Zach Thomas not getting in the Hall of Fame. Tony Segreto, dear friends with Zach Thomas, covered him for years. Little perturbed that Zach was left out of the hallowed halls of the NFL. We'll talk about that next. Also, Brian Flores, Stephen Ross, the accusations continue. Reports coming out that the NFL taking it seriously. And if it's found that impropriety did happen, Stephen Ross may be voted out. Tony Segreto talks about that with us right here. The Devo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home. Thanks for sticking with us here at the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Thank you to Texas Roadhouse and Catholic Health Services. We do this each and every week. Coming up, we talk now about Zach Thomas, Mr. Miami Dolphin, not getting in the NFL Hall of Fame. Tony Segreto covered him for years. You're friends with Zach, and he is not too happy that Zach continues to get left in the cold without a gold jacket. And we also talk about what's going on with the Miami Dolphins, the allegations from former head coach Brian Flores to current owner Stephen Ross, as the NFL has started to take it serious. Reports have come out, the NFL, if they find anything improper from Stephen Ross toward Brian Flores, Stephen Ross could be forced to sell. Tony gives his take on that right now on the Devo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
I'm Jeff DeForest. We are imperiled in degenerate purgatory where nothing ever works out the way it is supposed to.
It's because your glass is always half empty.
I'm optimistic. I said this earlier, Tony. I don't know if you were with us earlier, but I do dream that I visualize myself hitting the progressive jackpot, getting a call attendant sign, and being in Las Vegas, and all of a sudden I hit like 3 Vanna Whites, and I'm worth $2.4 million. Whatever that is. So I'm optimistic.
I'm sure
Every
Mustang,
gambler has to be. Yes.
I'm sure Mustang feels like being married to you, she feels like she hit that big jackpot already.
Definitely.
I'm sure she feels that way every day.
For sure.
What
I'm
are
sure
you
she
smoking,
wakes up
Tony? Are
going,
you in Florida? Are you getting some of that good weed from Gainesville?
I'm in Florida.
What are you doing?
But I'm back in Florida. But I will tell you, she must wake up every morning and just go, "Oh, I can't
Imagine
believe that."
she does a Lou Gehrig speech.
She says,
I'm
the
the
female variety.
luckiest
Today I
woman
feel like the luckiest woman
face of
on
the
the
earth.
face of the earth. Right.
Yeah,
she
she rolls over. She sees you there and she goes, "Oh."
She rolls over, all right. In disgust.
She rolls out of bed.
We got Mike Lubitz here. We're on Ion Channel. We're having.
What have
I wanted to
done?
get some. I wanted to get
What
some
have
quick
I
takes
done?
here, Tony. Can we play a new game here on the show?
Absolutely.
Quick take.
Anything
Quick
you want.
takes with Tony Segreto.
Got it.
There you go.
Quick takes
quick
from Tony
takes.
Segreto under the auspices of something that we sort of established earlier in the program, which is Do You Believe?
Okay.
This is under the heading, it's like a TV evangelist sort of thing. Do you believe, Tony Segreto? Quick takes on these now, because there are a bunch of them.
Okay.
That Tom Brady will return with a team other than Tampa Bay to the National Football League next year. Do you believe?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So next year.
All right.
So he never retires.
You have a little room for embellishment here, Tony. I mean,
I'm not sure if
takes.
it'd be another team other than Tampa Bay. I just think he'll come back.
Okay. That's quick take number one, Tony Segreto. All right. Do you believe, Tony Segreto, that Aaron Rodgers will not be a Green Bay Packer, although he will play football in the NFL next year?
No.
No.
I believe he'll be a Packer.
Okay. You have Rodgers coming back to the Green Bay Packers. Do you believe, Tony Segreto,
Do you believe
that Stephen Ross will be found to be complicit in trying to bribe his coach, Brian Flores, with $100,000 bonus per loss and may be forced to sell the Miami Dolphins?
I can't answer that. I can't. I think any answer right now.
Do you believe it, though? Do you believe it?
I don't think so.
Is it possible?
I believe this. I believe this. I believe he may be looking to sell the team. I believe that that's very possible.
It sounds like a little inside tip there from
No inside tip. No
who told you
inside
that? Nat
nothing.
Moore, Danny Boy,
No,
who
no
might have
inside
implied that to
nothing.
Tony
No,
Segreto.
no. And there's no attribution. That's just
Okay, all
just
right.
an instinct. It's
Anonymous sources have
it's
led
sort
to
of
the
like no
instinct.
anonymous sources, no sources at all. I'm being flat out honest.
All right.
We can play this back. This
What
is
do you
just
think
my
about
own
that whole
instinct.
situation? Just out of curiosity.
I think that it's a shame either way. I think it's awful either way. I think that if he's found that it happened, how awful. If it's revealed that there was no truth to it at all, how awful that he had to go through that. So I just think that it's just a horrible situation, and I think that it blemishes the franchise. I think people sort of always going to go like that, one eye open, one eye closed, like what's going on. I think Brian Flores openly admitted he committed professional suicide. We'll see what happens, and I just keep shaking my head because I can't. I don't know. Part of you says this, like
the problem is it is very believable. And then on top of that, you're thinking. I don't know what his lawyers told him, but it's going to be very hard to implicate and win a lawsuit against the NFL for having systemic racism.
Yeah,
they'll say they're doing everything in their power. Look what we've done. We've tried everything. It just hasn't happened yet. There's only 32 guys that make these decisions, the owners, in terms of who they're going to hire. And guess what? They haven't been hiring black head coaaches.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Listen,
Eric Bieniemy thinks about. Lubie's favorite example is always this Eric Bieniemy guy, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
OC, who people say either doesn't interview very well or he wasn't calling all the plays. Andy Reid was doing that. So he's not as much of a glorified candidate as people would think based on the success of the team and the offense. But there were 9 jobs open. This guy didn't get one of them this year, and he's already interviewed under the Rooney Rule like for 100 other jobs.
I know.
He's become Gene Upshaw all over again.
Honestly, no, I know. I totally get it. So I just don't feel we can cast any aspersions until this all comes out. I guess the questions I always have is, A, how do you make this up? And B, if you did, shame on you.
I can't imagine, and what I was going to say, with sort of the flimsy nature of the assertions in this lawsuit that would be very hard to actually prove about the National Football League. In a case where a legal system is going to decide whether or not they're actually blatantly and openly racist or not.
Right, because the team can always say, we felt this person was a better candidate because.
Yeah, right? I mean, and it's their discretion, right? I mean, it is.
Exactly.
There's no law that says you have to do this.
It's the other thing that you wonder about.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, so I would think
that?
it was even less likely that Flores would completely fabricate, a complete BS about the potential payments. And then if you think about this whole story, we've been talking about this. I mean, the irony, you finally, as a black coach in the league, 15 years in the league, get your first head coaching job or whatever it was, a dozen years in the league, including a tenure under Belichick.
Yeah.
And a very important role that he played on championship teams. And now you get your first head coaching job, and you're one of like 3 black head coaches. So you obviously don't want to fall on your face and continue to perpetuate this whole crazy Al Campanis notion that these guys can't lead people, which may be the position of these staunchy, filthy rich owners. But, then to have the guy that hired you say, well, listen, man. Listen, Brian, I want you to lose every game. In fact, I got another $1.6 million for you if you go 0-16 this year. On top of whatever your salary was. And I mean, you would think, my God, how could this be? It would be your worst nightmare. Like, welcome to the Twilight Zone. I finally get a job, and I want to distinguish that black head coaches can succeed. And I got a guy paying me to lose.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And if in fact it's true, if we don't know if it is or isn't, we're just going to keep continuing, harping on that so people don't misunderstand. If in fact it's true, he didn't do it because he would always, his team would always be resurrected. They were like the Phoenix. They'd lose big, and they'd lose big week after week, and then boom, they just start reeling them off. And
Well, it makes it even more remarkable that the guy had any success that year, if that assertion is true. All right.
And here's at the end of the day, if you're a Dolphin fan, what do you do? And again, I put myself in the position of I'm in the administration office of the Miami Dolphins, and I'm one of the sales guys who has to sell season tickets. How do I even go about doing this?
Hey, Mo, you want to pick up those 2 season tickets all over again? I know we deliberately tried to lose, but so what? We could have got Joe Burrow.
It's not even that so much. It's like if I'm talking to X company, if I'm that company, do I want to hitch my do I want to hitch up to that wagon? Do I want to take my horse and tie it to that wagon? I don't know. I just don't know.
Good point, Tony Segreto.
Go ahead.
A couple more on the Do You Believe here, Tony Segreto. Okay. Dan Snyder, do you believe that eventually, no one's happier about the whole Stephen Ross, Brian Flores thing than Dan Snyder because, completely overshadowing the story where women are coming in front of Congress and saying that Snyder himself, personally groped them on numerous occasions and it was going on forever. And they've already fined the team $10 million, not for naming themselves the commanders, but for all of these sexual, abuse allegations or whatever that were going on in there and the way they conducted their business. Right. Do you believe he will be forced out of the NFL?
Absolutely. No question.
Yes? All right. You believe that?
No question. No question.
Right. Finally, it seems like they're going to get him.
All right. Final one. Do you believe, Tony Segreto, on Old School with Tony Segreto, that Zach Thomas will eventually get into the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
All right, good.
I think it's going to be. I'm not. It's not going to be easy, but I think he will.
How many years has he been eligible already? It's not like he's running out of time completely.
No,
but,
he's not running out of time.
Seems like it gets more prohibitive.
Yeah.
Once you're 3-4 years into the process.
I would hate, and I may be jaded on this because I consider Zach a really good friend, and I have a great respect for how he conducts his life, how he conducted himself as a player. His love for his family and his children. I have a great respect for that man. And so I'm a little bit jaded. I hope it doesn't become a situation where I will never forget being at a Hall of Fame induction in Canton and looking at Bob Kuechenberg, God rest his soul.
Oh, he was crushed by
watching through the bleachers, seeing, thinking to himself, I should be up there. And that would be the last thing I'd want to see Zach Thomas go through because he deserves it.
Oh, he's
as did Kuechenberg deserved to be, in the Hall of Fame. And
they tortured Jerry Kramer forever, a brilliant player.
Yeah, they sure did.
Heyday of the Packers, and they finally
did.
Veterans Committee. They finally got the guy in there because they thought he was going to check out sometime soon.
Yeah, no, they sure did, and I'm hopeful that he gets in there.
I hope so. Who do you go to? Everybody goes to Urlacher as the example of a linebacker, inside linebacker who, Zach Thomas was much better than statistically and consistently, and yet Urlacher was a popular player because of his imposing, Nitschke-like approach.
There's the word. The word, imposing. Zach wasn't imposing. Right, he just played,
which makes it even more remarkable.
Exactly, he just played the game hard, consistently, sideline to sideline. He did it all. He did it absolutely all. Played hurt, played on a team that at the time sometimes was struggling, sometimes was doing well, but he was as consistent. You could bet your life that every time you'd go watch Zach Thomas play, you would watch a guy play hard, play well, make very few mistakes, be critical in critical situations, come through. He was a gamer. I don't think there should be a question. That's just me.
Well, and then, final thing on Do You Believe Tony Segreto then, I know you think our theories, were probably designed by Professor Irwin Corey when we have these, just legitimate solutions to serious, things that plague all of the sporting life. But and this one I got from my good buddy and a good friend of yours when he was broadcasting here, the great Eddie Kaplan, who I thought was an extremely wisdom-based. Sports theorist. All right.
Yeah, he really was.
He was outside the box, but when you really thought about it, it made perfect sense. And this one does to me. And that is that there should be no second and third ballot. You retire 5 years later, you're eligible for Hall of Fame stature. You're either a Hall of Famer or you're not.
I agree.
And if that means that they let a lot more people in any given year and they have 20 people at the induction ceremony, so be it. But I mean, how do you become more of a Hall of Famer 6 years or 7 years or 8 years after your retirement than you were when you were already out of the game for 5 years?
Like what happened to your legacy over those 6 years? Did it get better all of a sudden?
It's absurd to me, the whole process.
Listen, I remember a very wise person.
You agree with me on this one, Tony?
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Right.
Listen, this is just for whatever.
Let's go to Texas Roadhouse. It's on me, Tony.
That's right. Thanks. Oh, thanks a lot. I'm sure. Yeah. I thought you were going to give me Lubie's.
I have gift certificates.
He brought an expired coupon into Texas Roadhouse on Valentine's Day, and I got thrown out and disgraced the program. I'm surprised that even came on the show today after that.
I remember that. There were a number of people who about 5 years after I had retired, a number of people had contacted me.
They wanted you to go into the Hall of Fame?
And they said, would you consider coming back?
Yeah.
And I was talking to a dear friend of mine. I was talking to my wife, and then I was talking to a really, really dear friend of mine who I have a great respect for, who's extremely wise, very, very wise. And I told him, and his response was, do you need to go back? And that wasn't the issue. He goes, well, do you understand that your legacy is set? That the only thing you're going to do, you're not going to improve on your legacy anymore.
Yeah.
And the only thing you can do is hurt it. That if you
like
go
a burnt
back,
out Ralph Rennick.
If you go back, they're expecting you to succeed and take them out of the ashes.
Yep.
And if you don't, you failed.
Yeah.
So why would you put yourself through that, right? So
plus you diversified, so you're doing better now.
To your point, Zach Thomas doesn't get elected because they don't think he's good this year, good enough to get in this year. All of a sudden, 3 years later or 2 years later, he got better.
He's better.
How does that get better?
I'm with you.
Unless they're saying, well, the people he's against didn't deserve to be here. It's like, well, then they shouldn't have been on the ballot to begin with.
A startling development on the Defo show. Tony Segreto in full agreement with one of our solutions to a big problem. I love this, Tony. It's fantastic, and I feel a tighter bond
it's giving
with you
me
now
highs
than ever.
just thinking about
stressing
it.
out. Once again, thank you for tuning in the Defo show with Lubie right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thank you to Tony Segreto for joining us as he does each and every week on Kicking It Old School. Again, thank you to Texas Roadhouse and Catholic Health Services. Hopefully, you all have a great rest of your day and tune in each and every morning. Check us out on Ion Channel. Just Google The Defo Show, DEFO. Also, for any exclusive content, we do special interviews, special episodes each and every day for the Believe Podcast Network After Hours. Just go to Believe.com, search After Hours. You get more of us. And each and every day right here, The Defo Show with the Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network with your South Florida content.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy, and if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat, 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Recently we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?